Hey everybody, welcome to my house. It's so good to have all of you here. I'm so glad to be coming at you from my own living room. I know that's a place where you all are at, your living rooms and your homes. And I know it probably feels like I know it does for me that we've been home a long time and we don't really know how much longer we will be in our homes. So I guess I wanted to send just a shout out to all of you today to say that no matter what happens, no matter how long this journey is with this pandemic, that we do go together even though we're apart. I was once told that Lent is like a homecoming, and I found that in a special reading that I carry in my wallet. And it goes like this: home for weary years, home to calm our fears, home to dry our tears, home to remember our name, home to a warm embrace, home to a hopeful place, home with Christ, who is one with our journeying. I really like that reading. Lent is a long season in the liturgical year of the church. And sometimes, at least when life has been normal and we've been able to carry on our regular activities, to find time for Lent and its purpose can be hard to manage. Lent is to be a time where we reflect on our own relationships with Jesus Christ and to make time, to have that time in His presence through reading Scripture, through prayer, through talking to someone that inspires us through their faith, encourages us in our own, to perhaps attend a Bible study, all those things that we might normally do that are now so difficult. So perhaps one of the things that Lent is calling us to do for this year, during this time that we now face, is to find time to be at home with Jesus and to allow Jesus into our heart. I know that sounds like a cliched statement, but how I really look at that term of allowing Jesus into our heart is to allowing Jesus to get kind of to the center of where we are. Someone once said our lives are like a house, and that in the deepest part of the house, whether you're talking about the basement perhaps where we store things, sometimes we might store things that we don't want others to come across. Sometimes we store things because we want to remember them. Just like us and who we are, sometimes we keep things to ourselves, sometimes even those closest to us. But to know that Jesus is with us when He knows all there is to know about us, when He knows all about every area of our life and loves us still, that is what gives us hope and faith and courage, His love. So I would suggest that since we are all home now, that we start perhaps looking at this last week in Lent as we prepare for Holy Week as a chance to make Jesus our home, to find that He is with us, to take Him through this time that we're now approaching through Palm Sunday and Maundy, Thursday and Good Friday and Easter. And obviously the week of the Passion and all that He went through from the time of His arrest till He hung on the cross. Oh my goodness, we watch Jesus as the suffering servant, and yet we watch Him be exactly who He was while we watched Him from the babe in the manger to walking on the hillsides of Palestine, encountering people. It always stands out to me as services and worship on Good Friday that we leave those services in dark to come back on Easter in light. And what I really love about Good Friday is one of the scripture passages talks about how He reaches out to the two men, the two thieves, one at His right and one at His left. And we still see Jesus encountering people and welcoming people to His home. The one thief who decides to follow Him even in those last moments of his own life. And he looks at that thief on the cross and he says, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." And so we know during this pandemic and perhaps feeling like we're stuck at home, feeling all the adversities of jobs and wondering about finances and all else. We know too that Jesus knows our pain and that Jesus is with us, still finding ways to reach out to us and to do so in so many ways. So I am going to trust you into the loving embrace that Lent is described as, and that loving embrace is Jesus. His arms wrapping around you, that you would feel his presence, and that you would find him sometimes in the most unlikely of places, perhaps in a news story even, only one, about how someone makes a difference in someone's life. So I would leave you to this blessing. I would bring you back to Jesus. I'd like you to picture him healing the sick and making miracles happen and sitting at table with people in their homes, teaching parables and calling his disciples by name, preaching and teaching from grassy hilltops to being in anguish in the garden himself, asking for God to be with him with the week he knew he had ahead of him. See him picturing others from high atop the cross, and his words, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." For Jesus truly emerges from that empty tomb just as he will this Easter and remind us that he is life, and it's abundant, and it's found in him. So may you be blessed in knowing that Jesus is with you today. Jesus is with you all days. And as we walk with him through the rest of this journey of Lent, we can hang on to him, hold his hand, and be assured that just as one day this pandemic will end, just as we know that Easter will come, we know that Jesus is the source of our life and our faith and our love. May he be with you this day.
I'm going home where the streets are golden, every chain